chance of accurate, experienced, and trusted forecast
tonight and every night from the Channel 3 Max Advantage weather team.
First in weather.
And now, here's Eye on the News with commentator John McClory.
Last week, 7 Days reported that Department of Environmental Conservation Commissioner Peter Walke is leaving state service to join Efficiency Vermont, the organization that runs key energy conservation programs on money collected from electric customers. My experience with Peter Walke has always been positive. He provided answers to some complicated questions that I raised about the Transportation Climate Initiative, the multi-state regional motor fuel tax that collapsed last year. Peter, however, is a seasoned climate warrior. He co-chaired Governor Scott's Climate Action Commission 4 years ago, and when the governor apparently instructed the co-chairs to not come out for a carbon tax, they felt compelled to insert an ambiguous paragraph that as much as recommended a carbon tax without actually saying so. He was a strong promoter of the now failed Transportation and Climate Initiative and co-chaired a committee of the Vermont Climate Council, though not a statutory or appointed member of that body. In his position at the Vermont Energy Investment Corporation, he'll be managing director of what I predict will be the default delivery agent for the clean heat standard, assuming the legislature passes it and overrides an increasingly likely veto. The clean heat standard is designed to raise your heating fuel prices, and I'm completely opposed to the whole idea. But if it is, I suppose I'm glad that a competent administrator like Peter Walke will try to make it work. This is John McClory. Thanks for listening.
Are you tired of living with chronic pain, knee pain, joint pain? Listen carefully, because now there are new treatments available, not talking surgery or steroids. These are regenerative treatments from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the leader in these exciting biologic therapies that help restore and repair damaged tissue in your joints with lasting results. If you've got pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back, joint pain that won't go away, you need to check out these new treatments with astonishing patient satisfaction reports. They can actually help your body restore and repair itself with no downtime, no drugs, and no surgery. Call now to schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics. Call 802-PAINLESS. You need to learn more about how biologic therapies are changing the way we think about dealing with joint pain. It's exciting stuff. Don't wait. Call today. QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS.
WDEV at 90 is underwritten by Northfield Savings Bank. They're the bank of you and everything you do at nsbvt.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Celebrating 90 years. WDEV. WDEV also serves the Northeast Kingdom at 101.9 W270BR Island Pond.
Hi, everyone. This is Jess Langlois
and Chief Meteorologist Dan Dowling
from the Channel 3 Max Advantage weather team, reminding you that every day we are tracking the weather and getting you the most accurate forecast
from the most experienced weather team tonight from 4 to 7 and at 11 p.m.
We forecast with straight talk and no hype,
so you can take advantage of the clear days
and have the advantage over stormy weather.
There's a 100% chance of accurate, experienced, and trusted forecast
tonight and every night from the Channel 3 Max Advantage weather team.
First in weather.
The teams you care about.
The Patriots are now closer to the bottom of the AFC than the top. That's a fact.
The stories that matter to you.
Trevor Story, man, he makes the Red Sox much, much better in 2022.
This is your home for New England sports.
I'm just wondering what happens next for UVM, because I think there could be a lot of turnover on that roster.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show on a Tuesday on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Full show, all 90 minutes. We go right up until 7 o'clock. Jazz with George Thomas, Eye on the World. That comes up after us. Former UVM basketball coach Tom Brennan is with us in 15 minutes, talking a little Kansas and a little national championship as the Jayhawks rock chalk their way to another title, beating North Carolina last night by 3. We get some more interesting Red Sox stuff, not all of it good when it comes to Chris Sale's health, and we're going to get in at 6:05 to that really disturbing story out of Norwich University and the women's rugby program and allegations of hazing. We'll talk about that serious topic at 6:05. You can get in on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. That's 802-585-3026. That's 802-585-3026. Your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. You can also comment Facebook Live, YouTube Live, my Twitter account as well, at WDEV Radio Brady. Let's waste no time, everybody, and let go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts in the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center. Locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. College basketball season is officially over, and with that comes sadness, but with that also comes, yet again, the reality that the NCAA tournament never ceases to disappoint. What a great game last night. What a great way to cap off the college basketball season. What a great way to cap off what was a wild tournament. I loved everything that we saw last night. It was an amazing game of runs. Kansas gets up, like 7-0. North Carolina then comes back. They're up 15 at the half. Kansas dominates the start of the second half, outscores North Carolina by 18 in the second half to win it. Yesterday had a little bit of everything, didn't it? It had those runs. It had the massive swings and momentum that come with those runs. Big shot making from guys like Jalen Wilson and Remy Martin for Kansas.
Looking for the lead. They last led with 9 minutes to go in the first half at 18-16. Remy gives it to him with the three.
The second wave is coming. Absolutely. He's good at that end.
Yeah, Martin hits that bucket there. He had 14 points, nearly all of which felt like they came in the second half. So big shots from him. Brady Manick was good despite getting hit in the nose, head, mouth, temple, everything above the neck. He got hit multiple times. Armando Bacot from North Carolina, gutting it out. Another double-double for him, playing on that injured ankle all the way to the very end. It had a big-time gaffe at the end of the game when Harris for Kansas, Dewan Harris, stepped on the end line just trying to dribble out the clock, or stepped on the sideline, rather, just trying to dribble out the clock. So it had a last-second chance to tie it. Yesterday had it all. I loved what we saw last night. This was a great tournament in general. This was the tournament of St. Peter's getting to the Elite Eight, the tournament of more upsets and only one number one making it to the Final Four. It was the tournament of Coach K and everything that went into his final dance. This tournament had everything that we love, and last night was a great culmination of it. What did you think of the national title game? 802-585-3026. I am happy that Kansas won. I actually watched a good amount of Kansas games this year. In addition to UVM, who I watched nearly all of their games, I watched a lot of Kansas games. My fiance is a Kansas fan and has been, long before we got together. So I found myself watching a lot of Kansas games with her this year. Grew to like a lot of the players on Kansas. Ochai Agbaji, a great story, a great player. Remy Martin not playing a lot of the early part of the year and stepping in and towards, that Big 12 tournament, helping carry Kansas at times. Jalen Wilson, Mitch Lightfoot overcoming some injuries. This was a very likable Kansas team, a likable North Carolina team as well that played really hard and really found their stride the last 5 weeks of the season. But it was a great game and a great way to end the season. Phil in Berlin says, too bad the Kansas team is under suspicion for illegal activity, more unethical behavior to mar the essence of fair play in sports. Phil is not wrong about that. Kansas's win does come against the backdrop of an NCAA investigation, and we see this happen far too often in college sports. Now, we don't know exactly what's going to come out of this, so I can't just condemn the entire program or Bill Self or anybody in it right now, but we know that something might be coming down the line here, and we do see that far too often in college sports. Some quick takeaways from me on last night. And we'll talk about some of this with Coach Brennan as well when he joins us now in about 10 minutes. But last night was a win for those of us who are fans of veteran-laden teams. You have Abaji, who's a senior. You have Remy Martin, an upperclassman, a transfer in. On the other side, Manick is a grad transfer in from Oklahoma for North Carolina. We have spent so much time over the last now almost 15 years. Yeah, 15 years. We've spent so much time talking about and focusing on the one-and-done players. Last night was refreshing to see guys that we've seen grow, guys that we've watched for a while, and I honestly think that that is better for the sport. I have said for years, I think basketball should do what baseball does. If you want to go straight to the pros out of high school, then go. Then go. Don't just dip your toe in the college water. But once you go to college, stay at least 3 years. I've said that for a long time. I think it's better for the fans to see players grow, to gain some attachment to players, to gain some hate for players when you talk about a rivalry. I think the players ultimately develop if they're invested for multiple years at a time. I think they get better, over the course of those years, more mature physically, mentally, emotionally. I mean, I just think the sport gets better overall when the guys in it are committed there for multiple years. Last night was a well-played basketball game between two experienced teams with a lot of veteran players. Only 3 minutes in last night's game were played by freshmen. 3 minutes last night was a freshman on the court. It was a well-played game between veteran teams. That's what I like. The game is better played that way. When it's a bunch of 18-year-olds, yes, there are great moments. There are great athletes. There are great players, but there is genuinely sloppy play when it's played by guys who are just out of high school all over the floor. So if you are a fan of experienced players and you're not a fan of the one and done rule, then last night was a win for you. 2, kind of my second takeaway. I don't know how North Carolina was not prepared to start the second half. I mean, when I was doing play-by-play for basketball, it was so cliche. It was such low-hanging fruit, but it was true. At the beginning of every second half, I would always say, every game, the first 5 minutes of the second half are going to be huge. Every single game. And the first 5 minutes of the second half yesterday were huge. How was North Carolina not ready for it? They were up 15 at the half. You know that Kansas is going to come out desperate. You know that Kansas is going to come out swinging. You know they're going to come out aggressive. They're probably going to press. They're going to try to get out in transition. All you have to do is absorb those first 5 minutes, and Kansas probably lays down. Or there's just not enough time for them to come back. Instead, North Carolina was caught deer in the headlights. Kansas whoops them the first 5 minutes of the half. That 15-point lead is evaporated like within 9 minutes or something like that. Kansas dominated that first 5 minutes, that first stanza until the first media timeout, and North Carolina was completely blindsided by it. I don't know how. Hubert Davis did a great job with this North Carolina team. He did a great job in the tournament. But how you don't have your team ready for that onslaught by Kansas, I'll never know. You know that this team has their back against the wall. And when you have your back against the wall, you're going to play desperate. They knew that. They should have been ready for that, and evidently they weren't. They couldn't keep their composure. They turned it over a bunch. Kansas got exactly what they wanted in that first 5 minutes, and then that carried them through. Then they started hitting some outside shots. They started getting to the line. They finished around the rim. Everything came together for the Jayhawks in that second half, but it all stems from the momentum they got in the first 5 minutes of the second half, and I don't know how UNC was not ready for it. I mean, I believe that Kansas is the better team, But a 15-point lead should not be that easy to erase in that level of game, and it was last night for the Jayhawks. Number 3, I was a little surprised by what Bill Self said after the game about his star, Ochai Agbaji, most outstanding player of the Final Four. I believe the most outstanding player of the entire NCAA tournament. Well, he was asked, Bill Self was, is he the best player that's ever come through Kansas?
No, he's not in Kansas basketball history. I can't say that. I think Danny was pretty good too, and he's second. He's the most accomplished player that we have had at our university since Danny. I mean, to think that 4 years, win the national championship, win the league, win the Big 12 tournament, NCAA tournament, to be a most outstanding player. We've never had anybody. We may have had some guys that had comparable years, but never had anybody cap it off like what he has other than D.
I mean, so Danny Manning is the Danny he's talking about there, Danny and the Miracles for Kansas back in, 88. So he says Agbaji is the second most accomplished player that Kansas has ever had. I mean, I'm no Kansas basketball historian, but Nick Collison had a pretty great Kansas career. Kirk Heinrich had a pretty great Kansas career. That Wilt Chamberlain guy played at Kansas for a couple of years. I mean, I get he's talking about accomplishment. He's not just saying the most skilled player that Kansas has ever had, and I can appreciate that. Most accomplished and best are two different things. But when you look at all the guys who have played for Kansas, I mean, they accomplished some pretty great things. Wilt Chamberlain, Paul Pierce, Collison, Rafe LaFrentz. Like, there's been a lot of great players for Kansas here in the last 20 years. Again, best players, Joel Embiid is then on that list. Andrew Wiggins is on that list. They were one and done guys, so they're not in it. But skill-wise, okay, they're right up there. But accomplished-wise, it's not that egregious. But when I think of Kansas, there's a lot of players that come to mind to me before Ochai Agbaji. But it was, he really got going in the second half yesterday. It was lucky he didn't come down to the free throw line because he was 2 for 7 at one point from the free throw line. So Agbaji was cold at the line, but kept his composure, then got to the basket, finished off a really tough drive where he got some contact and finished as well. It was a team win yesterday for Kansas. I mean, you look at the Jayhawks and what they did. They had, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys score between 12 and 15 points. It was not one guy carrying the load. They all had a hand in it. They all had a hand in the comeback. So congratulations to the Jayhawks, and onto the offseason we now go. We will recap the game from last night. Does Coach Brennan agree with my takeaways? Former UVM Hoops coach Tom Brennan is with us next on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV.
Most families in the central Vermont area are needed to house the players of your Vermont Mountaineers. If you have space in your home, please consider becoming a host. All players are fully vaccinated and boosted. Players will have their own transportation, and dinner is provided on game nights. What's in it for you? How about free season tickets and free baseball camps for kids or grandkids? If interested, email host families at thevermontmountaineers.com.
Go, 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 Mountaineers. Go! Westview Meadows and the Gary residents are great places to live, but they're also great places to work. They're currently hiring personal care attendants, wait staff, and dishwashers. Want to know what it's really like to work at Westview Meadows? Let's hear what current staff members have to say.
I'm really fortunate to work here and have all of these people in my life.
It's a really great environment to work in, and it doesn't matter what position you have here. We're all one big happy family. There's a lot of laughter here with the residents and the staff. It's wonderful to look forward to going to work.
I don't believe I've ever worked in a place that just felt so supportive. Everyone here is just so positive and happy.
It's like a family. It's not a job. It's family.
If you want to work in a supportive team environment, consider a career at Westview Meadows or the Gary residence. Go to westviewmeadows.com to download and complete the application, or resumes can be sent to hr@westviewmeadows.com.
Are you looking for a way to help your neighbors and others in your community? Are you 55 or older, living at or below the federal poverty level? Can you commit to volunteering 10 to 12 hours a week? Senior Companion volunteers form meaningful relationships with 5 or 6 people who want companionship and support. Deep friendships often result from the adventures that are embarked upon once you are matched with a senior. Our senior companions tell us that they look forward to their visits as much, if not more, than the folks they are matched with. They love what they do. Helping people feels good. They say they are not just friends, but feel like family. For more information about becoming a Senior Companion volunteer, please call Senior Helpline at 1-800-642-5119.
The most amazing creation in human history is back. It has a one-lunger. It has a dial-up. It has a cash register. And it has Red Sox tickets. The Fairness to Fans machine, meticulously maintained by LaRue Brothers Transmissions in Barton, will be firing again soon. Send your entries to WDEV at radiovermont.com and put Fairness to Fans in the tagline. Details coming soon. Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
He led Vermont to its greatest win in program history.
Oh, my goodness! Sorrentine hit that one from the parking lot.
He's the architect of the Catamounts basketball program.
Vance Jennings, UVM.
And he's with us now. It's time for our weekly talk with former UVM basketball coach Tom Brennan on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show here on this Tuesday on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. A champion crowned last night. Kansas, a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, wards off 8th seeded North Carolina to win their 4th national championship, the 2nd for Bill Self. Final score 72-69 in favor of the Jayhawks. Kansas was down 15 at the half in this one and comes back to complete the greatest comeback in championship game history. And joining us now to break it down is former UVM head coach, our guy Tom Brennan. TB, the season's over, but what a way we went out.
Oh, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. You know what, Brady? It's easy for me to say. I almost sound like a jerk saying it, but I never thought Kansas was the best team. I thought they were the 4th best team in the weekend. And I thought Baylor was better than them. I thought Texas Tech was better than them in their league. And I had obviously Gonzaga and Arizona. They were just, but God bless them. They get it done. And Self gets it done. And when the second half came out, they just overwhelmed Carolina, I thought, defensively, scored off so many turnovers. And, and the Carolina guards just died. They went 12 for 53 or whatever, and they'd been carrying things. And, of course, Baycott was playing very, very well. But I just thought that McCormick was great, and he was great both nights. And he hadn't been that good ever. And, but that being said, when he had his shine, he did, and the last couple of buckets at the end were just tremendous, just mano a mano, So I thought it was a wonderful game. I really did, and I was just so happy that Kansas came back because I didn't want, I didn't really have anybody in the game, but I didn't want it to be a 20-point game, And then I thought Carolina handled themselves well when Kansas caught them. I thought that was it once that happened, but Carolina hung in all the way.
Hubert Davis has received a lot of praise for what he did with North Carolina, and aptly so. But the thing that surprises me is, how are you not ready for that blitz at the beginning of the second half? Kansas is down 15. They're desperate. They're going to pressure. They're going to take some chances. They're going to be energetic. All you have to do is withhold that punch, and they couldn't. And Kansas would probably go away, and North Carolina couldn't do it.
I know. I don't know why exactly, but I think one of the things is when Hubert came in, he said we're going to change. We're going to play differently, and than Carolina has in the past. And of course, he had the iron group there. They had 5 or 6 guys, but I just think they were so committed to that role that they were on. I mean, they really shouldn't have been there if you look 5 weeks ago. But they just got crazy hot in the guards. As I said, Davis and Caleb both played terrific, and Manic made all those shots. But that being said, they couldn't. They needed to slow down a little bit. They just decided, okay, you stole it that time, but we're gonna hit a three, or we're gonna. The guards just weren't making any shots, but they didn't slow it at all. They didn't try to get it inside at all. And momentum's a funny thing in basketball. It really is a funny thing, and you just, you could see it. You could see it slipping away. And that's what I said. I was kind of impressed with Carolina from the 10-minute mark on, because they played them tooth and nail all the way to the end. I thought once Kansas scored them, it was over.
We were just talking about this. There were only 3 minutes played yesterday by freshmen. Like, yesterday was a win if you're a fan of older teams, if you're a fan of guys who were in college for a while, if you don't like the one and done. Yesterday was a win for you. Do you think that that's a trend we're going back towards, the importance of older players, or is it just a one-off weird year?
No, I certainly think it's a trend, Brady. I think, results show teams that are more experienced have better chances to win, and guys that have been around, there's no substitute for it. Really, there isn't. And especially at that age, when you go from 18 to 22, those are big jumps, and or not. But then when you go to 23 and 24, then you're so much better than you were when you're 18. So I think that has a lot to do with it. I think we're getting a much better group of students. I think people are understanding what the value of an education and a master's degree and whatever it might be. So I think it's a trend that is definitely going to continue. And I'm so anxious to see what happens up on the hill, to be honest with you.
Former UVM hoops coach Tom Brennan is with us here on the Brady Farkas Show. Always is on a Tuesday on WDEV. You talk about UVM. Let's go there next. One of the things that's always, amazed me, but it's, even more present right now, is how the program is able to retain its own players. I look at New Hampshire, and the whole team is gone, and all of the scoring is gone. And Albany's got 3 guys in the transfer portal. At this level, guys leave. They don't really leave UVM. It's just amazing to me how they keep guys here.
Me too. And not only that, but don't play for 2 or 3 games and then come flying in ready to go.
Yeah.
Deloney and Cam and Fenn even for a time. So it's a gift. That's all I can say. But it means, what it means is that John has a great touch. That's what it means. And you got to be lucky too. We all know that. I mean, nothing is perfect, but he's just got a great touch with people and getting them to understand what the program is and how it works. I was so blown away by getting to know Davis. We've been out a couple of times to lunch, and I had him beat Cop and Rat at the Spank Puppy. I was going to charge $200 for people to come in, and I've just been so impressed with how he has bought in, and how he is teaching down now to the younger kids, how he tells them that they have to buy in, And I mean, there's a guy, he didn't play as a freshman. I mean, he played some, but we weren't all sitting there saying, oh my God, we stole this guy from Chicago. Where do you see him? And yet he just stayed with it. He lost weight. He kept working at it. And now he's 2-year player of the year. So I don't know, but I wish I did know. But and I just hope it continues for sure.
Are you following what's going on in the league right now? I mean, it's been wild the last 2 weeks. One, you get Bryant entering the conference from the Northeast Conference. So a new rival for UVM. And then you get the old rival at UVM, Albany. They're coaching and an investigation into their head coach, Dwayne Killings, over inappropriate contact with a player. They end up keeping him, and it's a 5-game suspension. The league is wild right now, TB.
No doubt. And I didn't realize the Hurtful thing either. I didn't know that. But yes, it is wild. But I just think we're good. We need to get a couple of big guys. They don't have to create. They have to be serviceable, because I think our guards are really, really going to carry us, and I think they're going to be tremendous. I love the people that are being big. I really do. So I'm not worried about that. They got to worry about us. We don't have to worry about them.
TB, season is over. So now, as a head coach, what's your What's your timeline like? Like, what's happening? Are you actively recruiting right now? Are you taking some time off? There's rules about when you can recruit. Like, now that the season is fully over, kind of what's the lay of the land?
Well, you're never not actively recruiting, really, whether it's, there's boundaries and whatever it might be. But, recruiting is the lifeblood. And now, of course, this year is going to be so interesting, Brady, because now we got that pool. We got the pool of high school kids, but we also got the transfer portal. So I don't know exactly, I mean, I know they're recruiting, but I just don't know to what angle or what end. And, of course, this is a great time to take some time off. There's no doubt about that. But with the world we live in now, you can be in the Bahamas and talk to a kid in Fairhaven. So I think, they have certainly earned a rest. That's for sure. And I'm sure they all went to the Final Four, which is one of the great social events in the history of the world. And so I'm sure they're taking some time off. But this is just, as I said before, such an interesting year in terms of recruiting and what where you're going and how what the portal is going to take effect. So I'm just anxious to sit here and figure out who we're going to be next year.
I'll get you out here on this. I don't know if you know this. Maybe you've talked to him and you know it directly. What do you think that Benny's plan is moving forward? He's certainly a guy who's good enough to play professionally somewhere. I've had people say, well, he's such a homebody, he may not want to go overseas. I don't know. Do you know what his plans are?
I don't in particular, Brady, but I'm pretty certain he does want to go play. I'm pretty sure of that. I couldn't say, oh, yeah, I know that. But I'm talking to him, and, you know this yourself. There's not many people that don't want to keep playing. The problem is, for many people, you can't keep playing.
Yeah.
But he is not that, and here's a kid that just came from nothing and built himself up to be one of the best players in the league. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine that he wouldn't want to take a shot somewhere.
Well, I think he's going to get one somewhere if he wants it. It's just a question of where. So, Coach Brennan, we appreciate you. You've been great with us all season long. We're still going to talk with you every week in the off season, but next week we're going to have baseball to talk about a bit, and I know how much you love that.
I'm having a party opening day. Yankees Red Sox.
Well, you might want to have it flexible because I don't know that they're going to play on Thursday, so you might have to wait for Friday.
You know what? It was so beautiful yesterday. I said, well, go sit outside, look over the lake, and my boys said, it's going to rain on Thursday.
TB, we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, my brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. There goes Coach Brennan putting a bow on the college basketball season with us. Interestingly enough, just in on social media, as I asked Coach Brennan about guys not leaving UVM, there is some breaking news. A UVM basketball player is now in the transfer portal. We'll tell you who that is. So the Catamounts are now losing somebody. We'll talk to you about it quick. And then we'll get into this Norwich University hazing story. I'll tell you what it is, and I'll tell you what the university community should be doing about it. That's next on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top of Sugarbush, 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield, 96.5 W243 Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury Montpelier, streaming at WDEVradio.com. 90 years of serving Vermont, the friendly pioneer, WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Dell Small Business.
I'm Matt Piper in New York. The latest crimes in Ukraine at the hands of Russian forces is why Ukraine's leader is calling on the international community to do something. More from correspondent Skylar Henry.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky delivered a powerful address to the UN Security Council.
They killed entire families, adults and children, and they tried to burn the bodies.
U.S. leaders say they're also coordinating with allies to implement another round of economic sanctions.
This will include a ban on all new investment in Russia, and increased sanctions on financial institutions and state-owned enterprises in Russia, and sanctions on Russian government officials and their family members.
NATO and and G7 leaders are set to meet Wednesday and Thursday to discuss the delivery of advanced weapons to Ukraine.
On the 12th anniversary of the signing into law of the Affordable Care Act, former President Obama returned to the White House for a ceremony where President Biden announced lowering costs for families still needing coverage.
With this change, it's estimated that 200,000 presently uninsured Americans are going to gain coverage. Nearly 1 million Americans will see their coverage become more affordable.
Possible help for those suffering long-term COVID side effects.
The Biden administration is asking health officials to develop a national action plan to tackle what's known as long-haul COVID. Doctors say it arises months after a COVID-19 infection and affects nearly 7% of all U.S. adults. Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra.
In real time, we will share lessons on how to prevent, detect, and treat long COVID. And this coordinated effort will help ensure our research is being directed toward the people who need care the most.
COVID long-haul symptoms include fatigue, body aches, and mood changes. Steve Futterman, CBS News.
At least one person has died in Texas following severe weather. A storm system is now in the east, says CBS News meteorologist David Parkinson.
We have a tornado watch in effect for the next several hours, and that is going to be really impacting Georgia and South Carolina primarily. We have had one tornado after another all afternoon long.
Spirit Airlines could have a different buyer. CBS's Peter Greenberg.
The move by JetBlue to acquire Spirit came literally out of the blue. Back in February, Spirit already announced it was planning to merge with Denver-based Frontier Airlines. The Spirit-Frontier merger was then hailed as creating a low-fare juggernaut. But JetBlue, which is offering Spirit Airlines shareholders $33 a share, may be a richer deal.
Spirit says it's considering JetBlue's offer. The Dow today lost 281. The Nasdaq was down 328. S&P losing 58. This is CBS News.
Dell Technologies advisors are here with the right Windows PC and tech solutions so you can stop at nothing for your customers. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like you're going 100 miles an hour, barely keeping up. But to cruise through challenges, you need someone who's right there with you. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the Windows PCs and tech advice you need to get past whatever's in front of you and get where you want to go. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Check it out, Limu, a roadside carnival.
Step right up, folks. Test your strength. Come see the fire-breathing baby.
Let's fan out and tell people that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Look, an emu wearing sunglasses.
Limu, you're famous. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
What's your favorite smell?
Scientifically proven, vanilla is the world's favorite smell. British and Swedish scientists presented 10 different smells to 235 people from 9 different cultures around the world, from city dwellers in the U.S., Mexico, and Thailand to farmers, hunter-gatherers, and fishing communities. Vanilla was even the favorite smell of people in remote areas with no previous exposure to Western odors, suggesting there's something universal we all share, even if it's just liking the smell of vanilla. Vicki Barker, CBS News, London.
Kenneth McCarter jumped into a South Carolina lagoon and saved his 73-year-old neighbor from a 10-foot alligator back in 2020. He has now been awarded the prestigious Carnegie Medal, one of only 17 Americans to receive it in a year. The victim, Carol DeLillo, was dragged underwater by the gator while she was sprucing up her yard after selling her home earlier in the day. Matt Piper, CBS News.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Thanks to former UVM Hoops coach Tom Brennan for stopping by. Our full interview with TB will be available shortly on the podcast channel on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. We are going to get to this Norwich disturbing story here in about 2 minutes, but there is an update on UVM actually losing a player into the transfer portal. Ironically enough, I was talking with Coach Brennan 10 minutes ago, and I'm asking him, well, hey, it's pretty amazing. UVM doesn't lose players really to the portal like other schools of its size. And yeah, Coach Brennan's like, yeah, it is amazing. Coach Brennan's got a special touch. Well, as we're talking, right as we're about to get off the phone, Evan Guillory, first-year guard, now just finished his first year, so heading into his sophomore year, he is entering the transfer portal. He is from Springfield, Missouri. We saw him a little bit this year, not much. So Guillory played, let's see here, he had 5 points against Albany on February 12th. He had 2 in the title game against UMBC. I believe that 2 was a massive dunk, though, as I recall. Anyways, he played 100 minutes, 120 minutes this year, so not much. Basically, in a 34-game season, he played the equivalent of 2.5 games. He had 31 points for the season. He averaged 1.6 points for the year. That said, I'm still surprised to see him leave because this is a team that's losing Ben Shungu. It's losing Justin Mazzulla. It's losing Isaiah Powell. There are minutes to be had. Aaron Deloney is there. Robin Duncan, I think, is coming back, so maybe that's why Guillory wants out. He thinks there's too many guards still left, and Sam Alamutu is there also. So Guillory is leaving, a 6'4 guard, a guy who I actually like athletically. He's out. Eric Beckett's transferring too. He had that really big game against Stony Brook. Not a guy who contributed much at all beyond that. So, he's not really a loss. And they are going to lose big man George Lefebvre as well, who barely played this season. So they are seeing some players in the transfer portal, but maybe I should have amended it with Coach Brennan. They've been able to hold on to their top players, whereas other schools have not. They are losing players, but I don't know what's going to happen with Guillory. But I think like Beckett's going to transfer down a level. Would not be shocked if he goes to Division II as a result of this. Guillory, I don't know where exactly he's going to go. Lefebvre, I don't know. I can see him dropping down. I don't see these guys leaving UVM and going better. Ryan Davis, if he transferred, would have gone better. Finn Sullivan, if he transferred, would go better. If Isaiah Powell had continued playing and transferred on, he would have gone better. So UVM has found a way to keep players who have better talents or could get, quote, better offers. They found a way to keep them in program. They are losing some players, but their players, I think, are going to go down in level. So that's the breaking news that Evan Guillory is leaving the program. So I do not know where he's going to go, but again, played 122 minutes on the season. The Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line is open, 802-585-3026. Okay, let's get into really our biggest local story in a while for as far as I'm concerned. What has allegedly happened with the Norwich University women's rugby team is disgusting. And the athletic department needs to cancel the rest of the women's rugby season as far as I'm concerned. And the offending players need to be thrown off the team permanently. That's what needs to happen. There are multiple matches left in this spring season for the women's rugby team. They need to be bagged. We're not playing those. The season's over. Today, the season's over. And the players who committed these offenses, they're out too forever, and they're not coming back. That's what the athletic department needs to decide, and they need to decide it soon. Now, if you haven't heard this story, I will give you the rundown of it from VT Digger. Here's what we've got. Police are investigating reports of hazing involving the Norwich University women's rugby team, including allegations of branding and waterboarding. Northfield police officer Carrie Tucker responded to the scene, found an intoxicated student identified as a 22-year-old member of the rugby team on the school's campus. This happened at the end of March 20th. The woman told Tucker that a man had possibly taken a knife and held it to her. A nursing student who lived in the same building as the rugby player later told the officer she had received multiple text messages from the rugby player throughout the early morning hours. When the nursing student went to check on the rugby player at one point, she found her by a window covered in urine and called authorities. In an interview 2 days later, the rugby player told police she thought someone had come into the room that night, taken her knife, and threatened her, though she was not clear of the details because she was intoxicated. She also told police she believed she was branded that night by other members of the rugby team. She thought they used a pair of pliers and a lighter. There are also allegations of waterboarding involving the team as well. So you've got a couple of separate things going on here. You've got this man who allegedly took her knife, threatened her, and held her at knife point. I can't account for that guy right now because I don't know who that guy is. So I'm focusing on the women's rugby team part of this itself. You have a women's rugby player that's a victim, it seems, of two alleged things. One is this man with the knife. Two is being branded by her, by what I'm presuming are her teammates. So I'm going to focus on just the athletic portion of this. And the Norwich University athletic department needs to cancel the remainder of the season and needs to throw these players out of the program. That is what needs to happen, and it needs to happen today. What we have here is hazing. What we have here is among the most serious forms of hazing that I can ever remember hearing about. Like, we're talking about branding and waterboarding. This is what is done in torture. This is not the freshmen are going to pick up the balls after practice. This is not all the first-year players are going to do the laundry for the team. These are activities that are used in torture. You're not playing in my program, and we're not playing anymore this season. It's wrong, it's disgusting, and it's dangerous. And at Norwich University, the women's rugby team functions as a varsity sport. It is on the same level at Norwich as men and women's hockey and as football. That is why the athletic department needs to make this decision and needs to make it now. Well, rugby is not an NCAA sport. Norwich treats it as a varsity sport. It has a full-time coach. It has a big-time budget. It does recruiting. They play matches. They go for national championships. They promote it on their athletics website. So Norwich treats rugby on the same level as hockey. And therefore, the athletic department needs to step in and make this decision today. Cancel the rest of the season and throw these players off the team. The athletic department can't choose to throw them out of school. That's going to come from somebody different. But since this is under the athletic department's watch, this is under the athletic department's, this is not a club. If this was a fraternity, I wouldn't be talking about it. But the school, I'm sure, would shut the frat or sorority down if this happened. This is a varsity team at the school. The athletic department needs to take action. This is within their jurisdiction, and it needs to be dealt with today. Now, as for other things that need to or should happen at Norwich University as a result of all this, I do not believe that head coach Austin Hall should be fired. I do not believe he should be fired. He's been in Norwich for, I think, now 18 years. This is certainly the first incident of hazing that I have heard about. It's really the first thing negatively that I have heard about the program. So I do believe this to be an isolated issue and that Austin Hall can handle the position. This is a massive strike against the program, a massive strike against him, and a massive strike against the athletic department. I do not believe that he needs to lose his job over this. 18 years of running what, to our knowledge, has been a clean program should supersede what I believe a handful of student athletes have done here. Kevin Snedden, former UVM men's hockey coach, he kept his job after multiple hazing incidents in his tenure at UVM, and I don't believe that he was directly responsible for those, so I think the university made a good decision in keeping him. I do believe Austin Hall should keep his job. I don't think we should wait for any punishments next year I don't want to do this like we're going to cancel next fall season, the next full season. Maybe that could be part of it, but like I don't want to punish the players that weren't on this team, and I don't want the potential offending parties to have graduated out and not get punishment. I'm not for punishing innocent people in all this. So cancel the season starting today, and we'll see where we're at when the dust settles. And you have to address this problem right now. Again, if any of the players, all the players who are a part of this, branding, waterboarding, hazing, they're out. They're not coming back. And I don't care if that means I got to replace 2 players for next year, if I got to replace 15 players for next year. I do not care. They're out. Again, branding and waterboarding is barbaric stuff. This isn't everybody. This isn't that one person carries the footballs. One person carries the rugby balls. One person picks up all the cones. This isn't light teasing. This is actual torture. It's disgusting behavior. Kick people off the team, cancel the season. Again, the athletic department can't kick them out of school on their own, but I'll say this. If any of these offending students, athletes, are in the Corps of Cadets at Norwich, I'd throw them out of that too. If the university doesn't want to kick them out of school and wants to allow them to graduate, then that's their call. But I'd throw them out of the Corps of Cadets if they're in it. Because Norwich's military background is supposed to be about togetherness and pride, fighting for your brother and sister, giving it up for the person next to you. It's a bond that is supposed to be unbreakable. And if you are literally torturing the people you're supposed to be either fighting with or fighting for, then you aren't accomplishing any of what the university stands for in the Corps. Off the team, out of the Corps, cancel the season, and let's get the answers here. But that's where we start. 802-585-3026. I hate hazing. I hate it. Always have. Tying people to goalposts, making people drink vodka until they pass out, leaving people undressed and out in the cold, finding their way back home. I'm not for any of it. It has no place in sports. It has no place in universities, and it has no place in our society. It is the main reason why I hate fraternities and I hate sororities. Because a lot of them have historically engaged in things like this. It's demeaning, it's degrading, it's mean. I was never a part of it. I never wanted to be a part of it. I was afraid of it happening to me. I was embarrassed by the idea of it. It's nerve-wracking, and it undermines the principles of a team. And if you are a team leader who endorses it, then you are not a leader at all. Because a team functions at best when everyone is included and everyone is respected and everyone can bring their actual selves to the table, and hazing suppresses all of that and accomplishes nothing. And then there's the reports out from the police department or law enforcement agencies here in Vermont that the university is being less than cooperative with the police. What is the rationale behind that? Now, the school says they're cooperating. The police say, well, okay, you're cooperating, but you're kind of making it tough on us here to do our job. What's the reasoning behind this? Are you afraid of what the cops might find out? You should want, as a university, to be proactive in this. This is the safety, the literal safety. People die from hazing, and people could have died from this. Waterboarding, that could kill people. Hazing kills people. You should want to know the answer here. If there is some kind of culture at Norwich where this happens more regularly, you should want it to be exposed. I'd be wanting to find the answers, not making it tougher for law enforcement to get them. This whole thing just makes me sick. Branding is permanently dangerous. Leaving somebody passed out covered in urine, that's not real safe, healthy, or welcoming. This is just gross. This is just gross. To my knowledge, it came to light yesterday. The Times-Argus was getting some information. BT Digger was getting some information as of last Friday. I saw it for the first time yesterday. 802-585-3026. What do you think should be done here to Norwich University or by the athletic department, to the team, to the program, to the players? Anthony says Norwich already has a new athletic director on the way. That's true. And, that is another part of this. That is a lesser part of this. But Tony Mariano has been at Norwich for more than 30 years. And I can't recall if he's just worked there for 30 years or he's been the AD for 30 years. I believe it's the AD for 30 years. He has brought revolutionary growth to the athletic department. And this is going to be the memory, the last thing on his resume. I feel bad for him that this is how he's going to go out. The guy who has brought national championships to Norwich men's hockey, Norwich women's hockey. They have named, the championship trophy in the New England Hockey Conference after him. Helped put in Sabine Field, the new multi-turf or multi-surface athletic facility at Norwich. He's helped accomplish all of that. And with a month to go in his tenure, this is going to be the last thing on his resume. I feel bad for him. And Ed Hockenberry Jr. is going to take over next year as the athletic director. I feel bad that this gets to be one of the first things on his plate because this is garbage. This is absolute garbage. I think hazing happens at a lot of different universities throughout the country, and I think it's garbage at all of them. I'm not for making freshmen show how much they can drink their first night on campus. I'm not for, like I said, taking someone's clothes and making them walk back in sub-zero weather. I think that stuff happens way more than we think it does. We only hear about it when awful things like this happen. I'm not for any of it, though. The whole thing is ridiculous. I hope the alleged victim is okay, both physically and mentally. I hope that Norwich cooperates fully in the investigation and gives us all the answers that we deserve, that the students deserve, that the parents at the university deserve. I know Norwich is a tough guy, tough girl military culture. And it's very insulated. But if I'm a parent sending somebody to Norwich, I want to trust that they're safe. And this is not safe. And again, since Norwich women's rugby is a varsity athletic team, that falls under the jurisdiction of the athletic department. This is not a club. If it were a club, I think the university would just shut it down. It's a varsity sport. End the season, end it today, sacrifice whatever you might be playing for at the end of the year, kick everybody off the team, reset the program, get the answers, come back and play next year with a group of people that are doing things the right way and are about inclusion of their teammates. Because I got no time for people being put in danger like this. Absolutely zero time for this. Anthony continues on. As a military college and an institution of higher education, they need to be careful for public relation reasons. Well, yeah, this is awful public relations, but that's my least of concerns here. My biggest concern is what happened and how do we make sure it doesn't happen again. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. All right, not easy to transition after that story, but going to try to do our best to do it gracefully because we do have some interesting takeaways from Xander Bogaerts as he sat down with Rob Bradford of WEEI. So let's get to who's saying what.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What did he say?
Mac Jones? Good Lord. Mel Kiper's got to slow down on this. Mac Jones ain't going to work, folks. It's not going to work. He's got to come to terms with it. It's not going to work.
They really said that?
Every damn thing is politics and race, and I'm losing my mind over it.
It's time for Who's Saying What on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Who's Saying What? Brought to you by Vermont Laser Wash. That's Central Vermont's home of unlimited car washes. Begins at just $20 a month. Again, unlimited car washes, $20 a month. If you want one free car wash, just text the word Vermont to the number 30 and then 400. Again, Xander Bogaerts was on with Rob Bradford of WEEI.com on a podcast the other day from spring training. And I got some audio clips I'll get to in a second. I also have a couple of takeaways here. Takeaway number one, Xander Bogaerts wants to stay at shortstop. I think this is going to be a battle in the future getting him to move. I'm not saying that he won't, but if you have this fantasy of keeping Bogaerts and Devers and having Story there long term, there's going to be a conversation there that Xander Bogaerts doesn't really want to have. He clearly does not want to move off what he sees as his position. He mentioned the adjustments that he made last year defensively. He talked a lot about building off those adjustments. He told Bradford that he sees himself as a shortstop. So I think it's pretty clear Story also sees this second base thing as a one-year stopgap for him. So there is going to be something uncomfortable that happens. Either Story is going to be unhappy that he's not able to get back to shortstop, or Bogaerts is going to be like, I don't have any interest in moving. Something is going to happen here in the offseason ahead because Bogaerts, he just doesn't see it as that he can't play short and that he needs to move for the good of the team. He thinks the good of the team is him playing shortstop. So that discouraged me. What encouraged me about what he had to say is that Xander Bogaerts said he was simple. And I think that's important. Like, he's from Aruba, right? He's from a beautiful place. So Rob Bradford asked him, like, do you have some beachfront mansion? And he said, no, I am a simple guy. He said, my house is pretty basic. I do think there's a possibility that in the future, Xander Bogaerts just tells Scott Boras, like, you know what? Being comfortable matters to me, and I'm comfortable in Boston. And Scott Boras, I know, is out for the financial well-being of his clients, the financial well-being of him, and he's out to change the sport financially for all of his guys. But I feel like Xander Bogaerts just might be the guy that could look at him and say, you know what? $350 million there versus $312 million here. I'll take the 312 because I'm comfortable. Or 280 there and 240 here. I'll take it because I'm comfortable. I feel like Bogaerts just might be the guy who could look at Boras and say, you know what? I'm not totally out for the same things that you're out for. I'm out for my career and my happiness, and this makes me happy being in Boston. I do not think he wants to move off shortstop, but I also don't think that everything to him is just going to be about money. Bogaerts also said he does not see an extension happening during the season.
I don't really think so.
Okay. You have to ask.
Yeah, I know you have to ask, but hey, you never know. There can always be surprises, but spring training is
But you don't like to talk during the season?
It's not even fair for the guys in the clubhouse, and also not me, because it's a lot of distraction, and having teammates like thinking of that, like you're just thinking of yourself too much,
So we are going to get to the point where we're having the opt-out discussion. I mean, Bogaerts is going to get to the offseason, have the opt-out. I imagine he's going to opt out. Again, he very well may be comfortable in Boston and tell that to Boras, but this is not a situation where, like a couple of years ago, Bogaerts signed on the dotted line, right before the season. That's not going to happen. For what it's worth, Chris Sale was speaking on WEEI also about Bogaerts.
I'm just gonna say it. We got to keep Bogey. We got to. And I truly believe the Red Sox will find a way.
I mean, what else is he going to say? About the Red Sox finding a way. I mean, I think what he said about Bogaerts is telling, right? He respects him. He wants to play with him. You have to understand there's a bit of selfishness in what Sale is saying. It's not his money. he doesn't have to worry about year, 8 of a contract of what Bogaerts might look like because, he's going to be gone by that point. So it's easy for Sale to look and project, the next 3 or 4 years while he's still here and say, hey, let's just have Bogaerts. That would be great. We need him. Well, the difference is going to come down to not the next 3 or 4 years. What about years 5, 6, 7, and 8? Do you want to take on that money for the player at 37 years old or whatever? That's what it's going to come down to. But it is telling, I think, that Sale wants Bogaerts, values Bogaerts, sees him as important to have, and just was there for his guy. Again, it doesn't mean a whole lot because I don't know what else Sale would really say, but I think it's important to know that he went to bat for his guy. He did it publicly, and he has a desire to keep playing with Xander Bogaerts, and he sees him as very important to the Boston Red Sox. The one thing that can put us all in a good mood is the story of Xander Bogaerts and April Fool's Day. Did you hear this? Bogaerts said he was warding off people from Aruba who thought he got traded.
I mean, you see it on the internet sometimes, on Facebook and all. Yeah. And they just, something like the other day, we had like an April Fool's going on. It was actually yesterday, I think. And it was like, Xander Bogaerts traded to Arizona Diamondbacks for a package of prospects and that. And people were going crazy. It's like,
who said that?
No, someone posted it. And you know how it is now.
Do people text you?
Yeah. People text me like, hey, is this true? Like, oh, man, don't tell me it's true. Yeah, but it was an April Fool's Day. Yeah.
So there you go. Everyone in Aruba thought Bogaerts was getting traded to the Arizona Diamondbacks. So thank goodness he's not. Thank goodness for now he is still ours to enjoy. But Aruba was fearful that Xander Bogaerts was on his way out of Boston. So there you go. No extension likely. Bogaerts does not want to leave shortstop. He may be comfortable enough in Boston that he doesn't look at it only as the money, and Aruba thought he was getting traded to the Arizona Diamondbacks. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. We come back. Bill Belichick won't bring in outside coordinators. He won't bring in coordinators from outside the family. That comes from Mike Reese of ESPN, who covers the Patriots. I think that's a really, in a football sense, dangerous way of thinking. I'll tell you what Reese had to say, and I'll react to it next on DEV.
WDEV at 90 is brought to you in part by New England Municipal Resource Center, NEMRIC, supporting one-of-a-kind local businesses like WDEV to preserve the distinct character of Vermont.
Hi, this is Kim Farnham, and I'm the Director of Community Relations and Development at Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice. We are hiring an assistant to join our team. In this role, you will provide critical in-office supports that will help with fundraising. This flexible 10-hour-a-week position is ideal for someone who is detail-oriented, organized, and looking to add a few hours to their weekly work schedule and do meaningful work in the Central Vermont community. In this role, your primary responsibilities include managing CVHHH's extensive donor database, data entry of daily donations, and coordinating distribution of donor acknowledgement and client welcome letters. You will also assist with volunteer services and town funding. Starting pay is $18 per hour. The work schedule is flexible and in our Barrie office. To learn more about this role and to apply, visit www.cvhhh.org.
Got chronic joint pain? Not having success with steroids, but trying to avoid surgery? Well, thankfully, there's a better way, and it's now available here from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. I'm talking about new therapies, advanced all-natural regenerative treatments that not only just give you relief, but can also restore and repair damaged tissue for long-lasting relief. If you've got joint pain due to arthritis, knee pain, hip pain, shoulder pain, don't just think the old ways of dealing with pain are the only ways. You need to learn more about these new biologic therapy solutions. Call now for a free consultation. QC Kinetics at 802-PAINLESS. These remarkable new treatments increase mobility, decrease pain, and help restore tissue. They actually encourage your body to heal itself. Call now and learn more about these restorative, regenerative, and revolutionary alternatives. Don't wait. Call today. QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS.
I'm Danny Schaefer, lifestyle content creator.
My little brother was just 33 when we lost him. If you know someone taking opioids, have a safety plan and talk about it. Be prepared. Learn how at reversedsilence.org.
Do you want to learn more about the free market perspective on important public policy issues affecting you, your work, and your community? I'm Bill Sayre, and I hope you'll do so by joining me in conversation with Vermont opinion leaders as we discuss how best to make Vermont an ever better and more affordable place to live and work. Common Sense Radio with Bill Sayre, weekdays 11 till noon.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Show brought to you in part by Pro Driver Training. That's Pro Driver Training, Vermont's premier truck driver training school. They're online at ProDriverCDL.com. Again, if you're looking for that new job, well, this could be the spot for you. They can help you with your Class A, Class B CDL licenses. You can also work on passenger and advanced skills training, coursework, and real-life application of that coursework as well. You can inquire again online at ProDriverCDL.com. If what Mike Reese of ESPN says is true about the way that Bill Belichick thinks, I have a big problem with this. Listen to what Mike Reese said yesterday about why the Patriots won't hire, an outside offensive or defensive coordinator.
Bill Belichick and his history never really does that, Freddie, because his belief is when you go outside your system and bring in an offensive coordinator who brings in a totally different maybe way of doing things, like it doesn't work with the program. Like, you've drafted these players, you've taught these players in a certain program, and he believes in continuity over going outside.
I get it. I do get it. But I think that is somewhat dangerous thinking. Anytime you are around people who only think like you, and you're not open to or receptive to new ideas or a new way of doing things, I think that's a problem. I understand you want a generally agreed upon framework. I understand you want someone that can work within the confines of what you believe, but within the confines of what you believe has to be the ability to have some variance, right? Has to be the ability to deviate a little bit. It seems like Belichick is at the point where he wants almost no outside voices. Josh McDaniels is gone. He had probably earned the right to deviate a little bit. So now you bring back Matt Patricia, you bring back Joe Judge, you get this kind of groupthink mentality where everybody is going to think right off of the Belichickian tree. And again, you want an agreed upon framework, but you don't want total yes men. And that's what it feels like maybe Bill Belichick is going for here. Bill Belichick has always been deemed innovative. He's always been deemed as somebody who wants to learn. Well, if you don't want to hear from different voices or hear new ideas, you're missing out on a lot of opportunities to expand your knowledge and maybe make your team better. Hey, look at some of the teams around the NFL that have done innovative things. Sean McVay, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl win. He was a different way of doing things in Los Angeles. It can work. I know it doesn't always work, but it can work. You have to find a way you have to be willing to listen to what other people are saying and be willing to incorporate some of what they do. Like, I understood that when I took this job, there was going to be a core set of ideals that WDEV wanted me to do. There were going to be core responsibilities that were fundamentally important to them and to the history of this station that they wanted me to keep up and honor. That's fine. But they also have given me the freedom to branch off a little bit. Keep doing what we always have done, but feel free to expand it in some new and exciting ways. They've given me the freedom for that. It appears that Bill Belichick doesn't want that. And that is not something that I want to hear. I don't want a bunch of yes men. I want people who have the freedom to come up with some ideas and take them to Belichick and then know that he may be receptive to them. Think about it in dating terms, right? Think about this in dating terms. You can have a type. You can have a profile of a man or a woman that you like. But ultimately, you can't close yourself off to everything but that type, because if you do, you're going to miss some really cool chances and some really cool opportunities to meet some really great people. And that would really be too bad. That's where we're at, apparently, with Bill Belichick, where he only wants to date a certain type, and he's closed off to anyone else. I don't want to hear that. Yes, he has a core belief, and you have to hire somebody that fits your core belief. I'm with that. You don't want to do what Belichick does and then hire someone who wants to throw it 55 times. That wouldn't work. So you do need that framework. But within that framework, there are multiple ways to get to the same result. Hey, I believe in a 50-50 balance pass run. That can be Belichick's thought process. Okay, fine. Well, this guy might believe that we're going to run 25 runs directly up the middle. And that guy might believe we're going to run 25 runs directly with a sweep. And this guy believes we're going to run jet sweeps and play actions and reverse it, whatever. There are different ways to exist within a framework. And Belichick seems to only want yes men. I am not for that. Peter in Williston on the Napa-Morrisville, Napa-Waterbury text line 802-585-3026. Yeah, the real question is, why is Belichick going with Patricia and Judge as offensive play callers? Well, the reason why is because they're guys who he trusts, who will say yes to him. I think that is the reason. He trusts them. He's worked with them. They now have a degree of loyalty and owing something to him, right? Like, he saved their careers by bringing them back. A lot harder to question the guy who you're indebted to. So I think all of that plays into it. He likes their football acumen. They're clearly good coaches. They're clearly smart coaches. They will be loyal to him and his way of doing things. And I think he'll get them to fall in line with what he wants. Because, somewhere out there is a hotshot coordinator. There is an up-and-comer. And Belichick doesn't want to look at him. The whole league is getting younger and innovative, and Belichick doesn't want to look at those guys. That did not make me real happy. Okay, real quick. Over-unders are out for the NFL. I'm not really into this stuff, especially before the draft, but Patriots over-under right now is 8.5 wins. 8.5 wins. Right now, I'd say under. There's still time. There's still time to get over. I don't think massively under 8.5 is what they'd be, but right now I think they're a 7-8 win team. You know how much I love looking at the schedule. I mean, I think as of now, I think the Patriots could beat the Jets twice. I think they could beat Miami once. That'd be 3 wins. I think they could beat Pittsburgh with Mitch Trubisky. That'd be 4. I think they can beat Detroit. That'd be 5. I think they can beat one of Minnesota or Chicago. That would be 6. Depending on the Deshaun Watson thing, I think they could beat Cleveland. That would be 7. Maybe the Raiders. That would be 8. And there you go, 8 and 9. So 7-10, 8 and 9. That's kind of where I'm at right now. But we know it's a futile exercise because of the way, or because we aren't at the draft yet. Yeah, for coaching, it's the Bill Belichick way or the highway to another team. That's what someone says on the text line. And we get one that says, Brady, you should have been a psychiatrist. Amen. So thank you very much. It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Red Sox have identified a role for ace pitcher and ace weapon, Garrett Whitlock. Do we like this role for the biggest surprise of last season. We'll talk about it next on DEV.
Building materials are hard to find, but Cleveland Cedar Products in Wolcott has red cedar and hemlock clapboards, cedar shakes and shingles. Cleveland Cedar has a great variety of trim boards as well. No one will beat Cleveland Cedar Products' freestanding prices or quality. Family-owned Cleveland Cedar Products has over 30 years of siding experience. Talk to the experts. Cleveland Cedar Products, 3 miles west of Wolcott Village on Route 15 and online at cedarguy.com.
Just because you're away from your radio or out of our broadcast range doesn't mean you have to miss out. Listen live on the WDEV stream, brought to you by AARP Vermont. WDEV's morning, midday, and afternoon news services, Vermont Viewpoint, and the Brady Farkas Show can all be found on the WDEV stream at WDEVradio.com. Brought to you by AARP Vermont, working to bring down the cost of prescription drugs for all Americans. AARP.org/VT.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like the course keeps changing right before your eyes. And in order to maneuver it, you need an expert by your side. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the Windows PC and tech solutions you need to help you get out in front and stay ahead of the game. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
Progressive's Home Court Explorer lets you easily compare our direct rates with multiple companies. Now that we've covered something you could do, it's time for sports stuff you definitely could not do.
If you were head coach, you would not have gone for it on fourth down. Your confidence in your play calling ability might be a little overblown, considering you're barely confident in which restaurant to order takeout from, let alone choosing a play in front of 70,000 screaming fans.
But you definitely can use Progressive's Home Court Explorer to easily compare rates. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations.
Hi, everyone. This is Jess Langlois
and Chief Meteorologist Dan Dowling
from the Channel 3 Max Advantage Weather Team, reminding you that every day we are tracking the weather and getting you the most accurate forecast
from the most experienced weather team tonight from 4 to 7 and at 11 p.m.
We forecast with straight talk and no hype,
so you can take advantage of the clear days
and have the advantage over stormy weather.
There's a 100% chance of accurate, experienced, and trusted forecast
tonight and every night from the Channel 3 Max Advantage Weather Team.
First in weather.
As temperatures start going down, you should go up to your attic and protect your comfort with Knopf insulation, available at Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber. Adding rolls, bats, or loose fill insulation can keep your house warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer, and save you up to 20% on energy bills. Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber in Middlesex, St. Albans, Enosburg, Derby, and Swanton. Sticksandstuff.com.
Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, we've got the right stuff for you.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Going up until 7 o'clock, going up for about another 8 minutes is what I meant to say. And then we're going to be turn it over to Jazz with George Thomas. Red Sox opening day is supposed to be Thursday. I think it's going to get rained out and pushed to Friday, but hopefully it doesn't. I hope we're playing baseball in the Bronx on Thursday afternoon. But again, we'll be ready for a full show if it comes to that. I don't love the role that the Red Sox have identified for Garrett Whitlock. Garrett Whitlock was the biggest surprise of last year. He was nasty. He was dominant. He's got great stuff, and it looks like his stuff has gotten even better through spring training. You know, we know about the high 90s fastball. We know about the good movement on the fastball. We know he's got the changeup, and now he's got this breaking ball, which so far from what I've seen has looked pretty devastating. So he looks like he's really just picked up where he left off from last year and then some. Well, what the Red Sox are going to do with him, at least at the beginning of the season, is they're going to piggyback Garrett Whitlock with Rich Hill. What that means is that Hill is going to start, and Whitlock will basically come in after him. Like in a perfect world, Hill would throw the first 5, and Whitlock would throw the final 4, or Hill would throw the first 4, and Whitlock would throw the next 3, and then you turn it over to the bullpen. Like, that's the thought process here. And the reasoning behind it is you're not asking 42-year-old Rich Hill to do too much. You keep Whitlock stretched out, throwing longer, higher pitch counts so that he is ready to start if you need him to. Excuse me. And then you have a good mix between a slow-tossing lefty and a hard-throwing righty. Now, I agree with the last one. Like, that's going to be tough on hitters, and the Red Sox will benefit from that kind of, thinking within a single game. I do believe that, but I don't really love this plan overall. I want Garrett Whitlock to have a pronounced role on this team, and this feels like a caught-in-the-middle role. I'd rather see Garrett Whitlock as a starter in his own right. Throw 30 games as a starter. Go 5 or 6 innings each time out. The starting pitcher has been devalued around baseball. I understand that, but it is still important. Putting Whitlock in after Rich Hill doesn't seem like you're fully maximizing him in that long role. Whitlock is better than Rich Hill at this point. So if Hill is down 3-0 in the third, and then you've brought Whitlock in, like, you've potentially wasted Whitlock in a loss when you could have just started him and hoped that you didn't get down 3-0 in the first place. And then, you bring in Whitlock and he throws 2 or 3 innings, 4 innings behind Hill, and now he's shot for a couple of days, and it doesn't maximize him as a reliever either. So I don't love this. You're not starting him. You potentially waste him in games that you might end up losing because Hill struggled. And as a reliever, he can't throw every day like he could if he were just a regular reliever. That's what I'd rather see. Be a starter who throws 30 games on your own, or be a high-leverage reliever that can throw 70. This caught-in-the-middle hybrid role, I'm not loving this. They need to maximize Garrett Whitlock. If he is one of the best 5 starters on this team, he should be starting. If you choose to say, you know what, we're not going to use him in that role, but because he's a lights-out dominant reliever, then he needs to be the closer or your highest leverage reliever. I don't want to see him come in Game 5 after Rich Hill with the Sox down 3-1 in the bottom of the 4th and just let him out there to throw 3 innings in a game that the Sox don't hit in, and they end up losing it 3-1. And now he's thrown 3 or 4 innings. He's shot for the next several days, so he can't pitch then, and we lost the game anyways. I get the thought process behind it. I can rationalize it. I just think there is a better role, a more pronounced role for Garrett Whitlock on this team. Starter or full-time high-leverage reliever, not piggybacking Rich Hill because you don't trust him enough to go 5 or 6 innings. If you don't trust Rich Hill to do the job of a starting pitcher, then Rich Hill should not be a starting pitcher on this team, and he should not have been a guy that you went out to get. It's that simple. This team is trying to get to the World Series. They need to deploy their arsenal in the best possible way. And Garrett Whitlock is one of their biggest chess pieces. And they can find a better use for him, I think, than what they're planning, at least at the beginning of the year. It looks like the rotation is going to feature Eovaldi, Pivetta, Waka, Hill, and Houck in whatever order they end up deciding here. Waka got lit up today. He gave up 6 runs against the Twins in that one. So, Sox won it, but again, 6 runs given up by Waka. That's not good. 6 runs in just 4 innings. Now, allegedly, he's looked pretty good this spring based on what everyone has said. Just did not look good today. We will talk to Red Sox insider Tom Brennan tomorrow as the team heads north now. So, again, Thursday afternoon, scheduled against the Yankees. That coverage would begin at 12:05. I hope that it does because we need baseball. I'm ready. Spring training is over. The Sox are headed north, and they're looking to get to the World Series. All right, that's going to do it for us. Tom Brennan, former Catamount Hoops coach, stopped by. Appreciate him as always. Thanks to all the texters on the Napa-Morrisville, Napa-Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. TC, Freddie Coleman. I had teased throughout the day we were going to talk with Cam Rogers about Augusta. I did do that because of TB, who I didn't think we were going to have. I moved that interview. So Cam Rogers and I did talk about Tiger Woods, about expectations, about why Phil Mickelson's not playing in the Masters as they begin on Thursday. So that interview is on the podcast channel, on Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify. Go check it out. It's free, and we will see you back here again tomorrow, everybody. Jazz with George Thomas. That's next, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Dealing with your business insurance can be a real pain. It's complicated. All the paperwork is super confusing.